This is the site plan of the overall proposal, but it's really based on bringing nature back into the kids on an everyday basis, because I believe that much of learning is founded on observation of nature. Biology, mathematics, physics, art, everything is underpinned by your observations of nature. Henry David Thoreau said that he owed all of his language skills to the observation of nature he made and conquered in his own environment. In my recent readings with Robert Love, who wrote Last Child Left in the Woods, and Robin Moore, who wrote a book called Play for All. They listed a lot of things, a lot of attributes that kids get from being in nature, and I'll just list a few here. Increases sensory stimulation, increases cognitive abilities, aids creativity and learning, increases attention span, benefits language skills, develops self-confidence, develops the power of observation, and furthers a sense of connectedness. So with that, I looked at the grounds out there, and with my eye, my particular kind of slant on things, I said we could do a lot better here. And because there was a point in time in my own professional skills that I said, well, I have the skills to do this. So it's like, it's one of those things you step forward and you don't know, you don't know how far you're going to fall when you step forward. But no, it's been a very fun project, and it continues to be. And I'm just going to run through some of the, my observations on the site and the proposal that we have, and then Kathy's going to take over and talk about the hoop houses, which I will just interject about the hoop houses. They're going to go. These are the two little sheds over there, and this is the new access road to the library. So somewhere in here, so they have the full orientation to the south. The hoop house is going to stretch over there, and we're going to enclose that in a more garden fashion with some kind of fence, fruit trees, raspberries, blueberries. So it is a space you enter, and then you go into the hoop houses. So it's surrounded by other beautiful things besides being really close to the parking lot. But Kathy's going to talk about that. So I have, what am I going to do here? I'm going to escape. And then Kate's going to take over. Okay.
Turn on a couple of lights.
Oh yeah, lights. Just this one actually. I don't really need complete darkness. So we're going to start with some of the ugliness out there, and then work toward beauty, right? So this is behind the two sheds that are on the end of the former football field. And it's just a bunch of debris. Concrete debris with stanchions. It could have been the fence posts. It could have had the footings for the field goals. But there's all sorts of debris there. So next, please. This is the swale that is just off the property. All the water from the parking lot. Is that too dark?
Perfect.
That's perfect, yeah. So this is actually off the property lot, but it's still part of the kids' environment because there's paths that come off a lot of the corners, and the kids go across the swales and into the neighborhood. It's actually really nice that they made their way from the schoolyard through people's backyards. They actually go through one of my friends' backyards, and they enjoy it. But this is offside. But there's a lot of debris in here, and it fills up with nasty water from the parking lot and elsewhere. It's the old railroad bed, I think, the road bed that came. It's that anybody know the name of the road that comes? Sewell? Yes. Okay, next please. So this is part of the scene that precedes that little swale. But since this picture's taken, Randy and Vicki and some other school board members, Ellen Breed and Fred Wildnauer, we've cleaned this area up of those drainage pipes, and we've eradicated all the plants that we could actually see, the invasive species. One of the issues I have with invasive species, why they're so bad, is because they choke out all good plants that are native here. And I'll show you pictures of the knotweed, but The Norway maple takes over the community for sugar maple and other trees. And sugar maple is that's a cash crop. It gives us sugar maple syrup. Buckthorn gives birds diarrhea, so they get no nutrition. They put the seeds everywhere. Burning bush displaces all sorts of good plants that could have berries, and that plant has invaded my forest. There's Russian olives, there's multiflora rose, and that's it, buckthorn. But so this site was just full of invasive species. So the idea here is to bring back native plants, and so kids can learn the diversity of plant materials that we have here, and learn about them and how they interact with the birds, and study their leaves. Next, please. Okay, there's another debris pile back there behind the sheds, tires and litter and all sorts of, it's hard in this slide, but I think that was the bittersweet in there. Next, please. There's a combination of, it's mostly multiflora rose there, which is gone now because we've eradicated that. So that's the side, the north side of the school that faces toward the former football field. So Michael Brewster from Brewster Trucking took his flail mower, which has the big hydraulic arm, and he mowed it down. That was the first way we tackled it. Next, please. And this is actually off the property on the Gagnon Fuel Company's property, but this plant will invade our site if this isn't eradicated. This is Japanese knotweed. It dries up wetlands, keeps the amphibians like the turtles, frogs and turtles from actually going into the mud and overwintering. So this is a really bad plant. It takes a lot to kill it. But if anybody knows the Gagnon family, you could ask them if they could tackle this, because it's not actually on the school property. But if you drive, once you identify this plant, you drive around the landscape and you see it everywhere. It's Japanese knotweed, looks like bamboo. People call it bamboo. It suffocates the landscape. Next to it. So this is the little trail. That was the little trail that went to the side of the school here over to the new library site. And that's part of the process here, is that the kids can help identify what should be there and what shouldn't be there, and then be part of the process. Because once you really get suppress them to the point, then it's just handwork, really. But to get ahead of them, you have to use other means. This is also too much pavement, in my eye. So you'll see on the site plan that this is crazy flowing pavement grass line. And that takes away the pavement and allows for plowing and stuff to happen. But it also allows for kids to create little spaces in the fingers of the pavement that's surrounded by lawn. And you'll see that, I'll point that out on the site plan. But we're proposing to move or reduce some of the pavement from at least this point, and then have sculpted mounds and an amphitheater and boulder and log walks. And next, please. And this is last March, and you can see that the kids were doing really good things out there. The kids want to be out there. It's just that most of the landscape created this barrier. You couldn't penetrate it. But where they could penetrate the landscape, they actually did fun things. Unfortunately, the recent clearing of the dangerous limbs that could possibly fall, the tree service got aggressive. This was actually a tree that had no limbs on it, but it was rooted. And kids creatively used it as a ridgepole, but that got cut. So now we have to take one of our cut trees and probably crop it up in the crotch of another tree to create a ridgepole, because we lost our ridgepole. And I tried when I talked to everybody, I said, we got to leave certain things, but that got missed. Anyway, next please. So there's another angle of that. And so there's a lot. There was where they had access, they were doing creative things. Next please. And this is another creative sign of creativity. They had taken sticks, and I don't know what they used them for, but they were there to be used for something else, and this was in the corner. Still creative, right? Next.